Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie version of Shadow and his motorcycle. Now this I think is either Series 1 Shadow or Series 2, and you can tell by his closed mouth. I didn't know that at the time, but this is an open-end box, so obviously there is no plastic, so you see exactly what you're getting. So let's have a look. So we have Tails, Knuckles, and Sonic. Sonic the Hedgehog 3, it says Shadow and Motorcycle, Shadow and Moto, and Shadow and Motorrad. Obviously, I don't know why they just said, why didn't they put Shadow and Motorcycle? This is by Jakks Pacifics, and yeah, lovely thing. Did I just say it's Tails, Knuckles, and Sonic? If not, then there's Shadow. On this side here, it basically is just the same thing. On the back, it just says, like, you know, it's 13 points of articulation, and then it's just you can get Sonic, Tails, Shadow, and Robotnik. So yeah, that was wave 1. Closed mouth. So if you want to get him separately without the bike, you can do. It says also available, and it's all the same sort of stuff. Then we have that one there, and at the top is exactly the same, and at the bottom it just gives you some product information. So let's open up this bad boy and have a look inside, or we'll actually just get him out of the box. Let's look at Shadow for the very first time. I'm actually quite impressed with this because I generally don't really like buying movie figures because I always think they're a bit meh, but I generally really like this. It looks like Shadow to me. It looks like he's just jumped out of the movie. But I like, obviously, the kind of red spikes going around, or red, yeah, the red quills. Then his eyes look really, really cool. One thing that did kind of really annoy me is the little part in the middle, like his like the pink part. I generally thought it ruined the entire whole figures, but I actually generally kind of like it. I like his little tuft of like hair, like the white fur, and then when you see like the red like parts on his arms, it looks really, really cool. I really like the design of Shadow. I think he is actually like kind of cool. The only thing I'd say that I've noticed, and it's just there, is it's a little bit kind of like the dark's gone over it, but again, not really that fussed. Looking at the back of him, he looks absolutely fantastic. I think he is a really, really nice figure. He's got normal joints. Now, the one thing that does kind of annoy me in this is like his legs are kind of weak, and I don't know why they are. Maybe it's a thing in the entire figure. But you've got also now the yellow that goes around. You've got his inhibitor rings on him, which again look really, really cool. And his little tail. So yeah, this is kind of a nice little figure, and this is highly recommended because these are really nice for photography. It's the only reason why I decided to get them. But his shoes, I really like the fact that this is where the jets come out. Now, one thing I probably would do, and I don't know if this is normal, but you've got the black area there. I generally thought that you would have black parts in there. So I don't know if that's actually a thing or if they're actually this color, which is just the orange. But yeah, like there is lots of paint kind of splatter all over the place, but it's not like a bad figure. Now, I'm going to be very careful with his legs because I don't want them to kind of like break, but literally they do kind of work really, really well. So you could actually pose this for photography. Now, his arm's a little bit stiff, so we're not going to push it. So maybe it's just his arm. Yeah, so they do kind of click, so just be careful. You know, that one is a lot easier, and it kind of bends in. Now, one thing I've noticed, so this is definitely, so you have to pick up 3 shadows, and I'll explain why. Which now means I'm going to have to go and find them. Now, I will look at other reviews just to be on the safe side, but I generally thought that this would have been another version. But his head moves around, it's quite easy, it moves up and down. So I feel a little bit lied to now. Should have done my research on it first, but you know, he comes with a bike. So yeah, now the main thing that I'm picking up is I thought that with like most of the other hands, and I'll check the actual figure itself, his fingers are meant to kind of close. Now I could lean past that, look past it and be like, hey, that's absolutely fine. You know, clenched fist isn't, but because of the way that his mouth is, I kind of really wanted to have open hand and punching hand, very similar to Sonic. So now I'm gonna have to track down another Shadow. Happy times, happy times. But yeah, it looks pretty cool for what it is. Let's have a look at the bike. Now, the bike is what I would imagine a bike would be. It's one thing that it would come with it. Like, you know, Shadow has a bike at some point. I can't remember if it's Sonic know if it's Shadow the Hedgehog that he has it, but the bike is a standard plastic. There's not really much detail. Like, you could change this. I think the main articulation on this is that it moves. Now, this is what kind of really annoys me, is like, I would rather they have this sort of stuff hidden somewhere down here, or that maybe you could just sand it off if you want. It feels like it could come off, but it just kind of takes away since you've got this stuff here. I'm sure that you could have plastered it somewhere else on the bike. The wheel turns, or the handlebars do. This one doesn't, or it only goes one way. Oh no, it can go both ways, but obviously it's just going to go one way. Then you have his part where his shoes go on. So obviously on the side, you could have it so he's sat on there properly. And the one thing I was hoping that they included, which they did, was the kickstand. So the bike can stand like up, and effectively, if you wanted to, you could pose him with the bike, which I don't know if I'm going to do, but still, it's kind of cool. Anyway, but that's my review. So I'm going to give my final thoughts. And there we go. There is Shadow. Now, this is a really cool figure. I do generally kind of like this. Now, the one thing that does disappoint me is the fact that his hands can't close properly, very similar to Sonic, as well as Supersonic and probably the others. Now, when looking at this, I generally thought that this was just first wave Shadow, but with a bike, and you can buy him separately without the bike, which now I'm going to try and track down because I do kind of want the closed hands one, but I'm not bothered at the same time. Now, the posability is absolutely fine. I really like it. I think he is pretty cool. The bike is a really nice kind of like addition to it. So yeah, you've got it. So the articulation is 13 points in this one, where the other one is 22. So I'm very curious to know what the difference is, and we'll probably look at that one in the next video. But yeah, generally this is not a bad figure for what it is. If you're just there to collect the entire range, absolutely fine, definitely worth it. But for what the price is for this one, I probably wouldn't say £25 is a good price. I would probably say more than 15, considering if, maybe 18, because, you're getting a bike with it, but, there's not that much articulation with this one. So I'm kind of curious to know what the main differences are, if this is completely different, and it looks like it is, but we'll definitely look in the next video. Anyway, I am going to end it there. What are your thoughts on Shadow? Have you seen the film? Are you excited about this figure? Would you try and get him? He's seemingly quite rare to get now, which is kind of weird. But yeah, let me know down below in the comments. Let's have a discussion. And while you're down there, why not like and subscribe? And yeah, why not check out the Patreon and the channel memberships? Thank you very much for listening and watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.
I want to say a big thank you to all my Patreon supporters, and I wanted to shout out Kimona Cat. Your help goes a long way to help support the channel, and if you want to help support the channel, the links to my Patreon and channel memberships are listed below in the description.
あらあら、チャンネルをサポートしてくれてありがとうございます。チャンネル登録、高評価お願いします。以下のリンクから商品を入手することができます。